It is time to dive into the nitty gritty of putting together your financial model. We're going to start with some analytics of your business first. What we're looking at here is an income and expenses summary. Now, this isn't an official financial statement. So, of financial statements, you have your income statement, your balance sheet, then you have, some other official documents. So income and expenses summary is a Nile thing. This is something that I like to do. It will help you take a look at the revenue that you have coming in and then every line item of expense that you have going out. This is where you need to start. The reason why you need to start with looking at your income and your expenses is because it's going to give you an idea of your cost structure going forward to help you with the basis of your model. So let's just pretend that we're wrapping up 2019 and we have 12 months of data. Really what you need are 12 months of data. If you're just getting started, and you're like 2 months into it and you don't have any data yet, then you're going to need to do some research. You're going to need to look into how much is it going to cost you? What's your website? If you have a website, how much is that per month? If you're running B.O.S.S, how's that much do you anticipate doing that for much? So your data and analytics and expenses and income might be more of a guess and a budget, but that guess and that budget should be based on research. So the next part, when we start to dig into some assumptions, you will be able to kind of figure out what it is that you need to put into your model based on those guesses, how you're going to guess, how you're going to make educated guesses and estimates. If you do have some, at least 12 months of numbers, or maybe you have 6 months of numbers. If you have something, you want to use this income and expenses summary. I did put this as a swipe file for you. And like I said, this is something that I put together. This is not general. So you'll see up here, this is non-GAAP. GAAP stands for generally accepted accounting principles. If you have a business and you work with an accountant, your accountant will produce documents that are GAAP or auditable, and that just means that they follow federal and state and local tax guidelines. This is something that is a heads up board. So if I do project management and I'll tell people to create a heads up board so they kind of know. So this is a financial heads up board. And it's also easy for you to collect your expenses. So here's an example. I've already got this together for you. Like I said, I have this together for you in the swipe files. But let's say you have your product one, what you expect. Now you'll see, we just talked about this in navigating, you'll see here in the formula bar that this information is being pulled from another worksheet. We won't, that's not important for right now. But you do want to, but here are this formulas. See, it's summing here. So this is pulling in income from another spreadsheet where I've detailed what is part of this income. So this is like my high level income here. I wanted to also say, look at what is the percentage of sales, revenue as a percentage of sales for each of these product streams. If you only have one product, so let's say, you do a course and you do consulting, and you do, some freelance work. Each one of those is a product. So each one of those would have one line. I would recommend, for example, like if you have like 5 courses, and let's say your revenue from those 5 courses is $18,000, just put this as courses, right? I wouldn't list out every single course. You can create a different worksheet that will have the individual courses listed and how much you got from each, if you want to have that level of detail. If you don't, remember, we're just putting together a financial model, a super easy financial model. If you don't want to go into that granularity and you just want to keep all of those reports maybe in PayPal or Stripe or however you're doing that. So then we come down here to like inventory, operating expenses. And let's say that you have a physical product and you have to purchase inventory for each of those products. You could do that here. If you just have an online business or products, your products and services are non-tangible, then I wouldn't worry about inventory purchased per se. You might have some. Then selling. What are all of your selling expenses? So this could be if you have a sales force, what you pay them in their base pay, their sales commission. Maybe you're doing affiliate commissions. Advertising typically falls under selling. Again, your accountant will be able to categorize all of your products and services appropriately. GAAP, I believe, puts advertising expenses under selling versus marketing and promo. Your accountant can tell you that for sure. And then, what are your general administrations? So if you have a staff, salaries, and wages, which are different from from your sales force salary and wages. So this is everyone else. Employee benefits. But okay, if it's just you still might have insurance, you might have rent, utilities, that sort of thing. So basically what I'm getting at is you want to collect all of your expenses for every month, and you want to have a good tracking tool. Here's a bonus tip, and I'll put this in the resources. This is just a bonus tip to manage your business like a boss. I use a tool called Zoho.com, Zoho.com. They have a bunch of free and paid tools. They have a free tool. You can pay if you need more to add more people to the tool. But I basically email all of my receipts. So if I buy something online, let's say I go to Amazon and I buy something and I get the receipt from Amazon, I forward it to this email address, and the email puts the receipt into my Zoho inbox. Once a month, when I do my financials, I go into Zoho. This takes me about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes tops. I go into Zoho, I categorize the expenses, I download that into a spreadsheet, and then I can copy paste that or add that into my overall spreadsheet here. Like I said, that part takes me like 15, 20 minutes. So that's a great way. And then you can categorize, you can define what the categories are. But you want to group these. This is how I group them. You might want to group them differently. Your accountant will probably group them differently from how you are. But this way you can see month to month. And this is going to be important for your financial model when we get to modeling, because we're going to do a model for 1 year. We're going to do a model. So that model for 1 year is really going to be your forecast or your budget or your plan for, so in this case, it would be for 2020. And then we're going to look at how to do a model, like a 3-year or 5-year model. But in order to do that, you need to understand your cost structures and your income structures. That's why you're gathering all of these. It's just a plus to be able to put all this information into this heads up board. So that's it kind of here. And then you can see here, I did this as a percentage of sales. So you can see what your costs are as a percentage of sales. The reason why I do this is so when you get into the actual modeling, you don't know exactly, because you're guessing and you're making estimates. Let's say, for example, you're pretty consistent that you're spending $22,500 on legal and accounting fees, right? You know that's kind of consistent, and you know that that is making up 25% of your sales. When we get into the modeling piece of it, that's how you can estimate some of these things and say, okay, I know generally speaking, legal and accounting is 25, maybe 30% of my sales. And then we will, you can sum all of this up here down at the bottom. Do not forget to account for taxes, transaction fees. So like, if you use Stripe or PayPal or something like that, you've got that there. Tax reserve. I always recommend people setting aside 25, 30% of every sale. So you would put that here. Here's where we get into a formula. I left this blank intentionally so that I could show you how we're going to use the formula. Let's say you want to do 30% of every sale. And then you would say this equals, and this is one way to do it. And you're going to come up here to where your revenues are. This is your total revenue. I'm sorry, this is your total revenue down here, income total. And then you're just going to hit enter. And so that this will automatically, you're going to click and drag this across. And you're going to stop at December, because then it's going to sum up by the end of the year. You know, it's going to automatically tell you what you should be putting into tax reserve every month. So by the end of the year, you should have, you know, $27,450 in your tax reserve. And if you want to do, then this line, you should do quarterly payments. So let's say you want to pay your quarterly payments, you would do it like this. So at the end of March, you're going to pay what's over here. And then you can do copy and then paste this into June. And the formula automatically will move. So it's not copying, it's not summing these. When you move the formula to another cell, it's basically going to move the range that you identified into, it's going to move it to be more appropriate. So we're going to do copy paste the same way at the end of September, because that's the end of the quarter when you would pay your quarterly taxes. Boom. Right? All right. So that is where we're talking about getting all of your business analytics. So get, you know, if you need to pause here and collect all of your expenses or make some best guesses on expenses, do that. And then we will proceed and look at, okay, how are we going to put this into, build this into a model. So you can see here, this is an income statement. This is the same information. It's just consolidated. So it's just one line for revenue. Cost of goods sold if you're doing a physical product. And then this is all consolidated. So remember, we were looking at legal and accounting, and we said we spent $22.50. Right? We just consolidated all of that information. And the reason why